The Manhaya Palace Museum in Kumasi is quiet today. The air is thick with the scent of old wood and history. Sunlight streams through the tall windows, illuminating glass cases filled with golden artifacts. An old storyteller, Nana Adoma, sits on a low stool. A small group of children and tourists gather around her, their eyes wide with expectation. She begins her story in a soft, rhythmic voice, a voice that seems to carry the echoes of centuries. She speaks of the Ashanti kingdom, a place of great power, wealth, and profound wisdom. She describes the golden stool, the soul of the nation, and the brave kings and queens who led their people with courage and honor. Nana Adoma leans forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. She tells the legend of the Kente crown, a magnificent headdress that was more than just gold and jewels. This crown was said to hold the collective wisdom of the Ashanti people. It was not worn by the king, but by the royal historian, the keeper of stories and secrets. It was a symbol of knowledge, not power. The crown was adorned with intricate Adinkra symbols, each one representing a piece of wisdom, a proverb, or a historical lesson. The storyteller explains that the crown was lost long ago, during a time of great turmoil and conflict. The legend says the crown was hidden to protect it from falling into the wrong hands. It was taken from the palace during the Sagrenti War in 1874, a time when British forces invaded Kumasi. The royal historian of that era, a man of great foresight, knew that the invaders desired gold, but the true treasure of the Ashanti was its knowledge. He hid the crown, leaving behind only a trail of riddles. Nana Adoma's hands move gracefully as she speaks, painting a picture of a secret journey through dense forests and sacred groves, a path known only to a chosen few. The crown, she says, waits for someone worthy to find it. As she finishes her tale, a young woman named Akua stands at the back of the crowd. Akua is a historian, and she has heard this story many times. But today, it feels different. Nana Adoma's words seem to resonate with a deeper meaning, stirring something within her soul. Akua looks at the portraits of past Ashanti kings and queens on the museum walls. She feels a strong connection to them, a sense of responsibility to her heritage. The story of the lost Kente crown is more than just a legend to her. It is a piece of her identity, a missing chapter in the grand book of her people's history.
Wow, do you think the crown is still out there waiting for someone to find it?
The question hangs in the air, unanswered, as Akua's heart beats with new purpose.
Later that day, Aqua is in her small office at the University of Ghana. Books on West African history are piled high on her desk, and maps of the old Ashanti kingdom cover the walls. She is researching trade routes from the 19th century, feeling a little frustrated by the dry facts and figures. The passion she felt at the museum has faded into the routine of academic life. She sips her tea and stares out the window, her mind drifting back to Nana Adoma's enchanting story. The legend of the Kente crown felt so real, so alive, unlike the dusty records she was currently studying. She wished history could always be that exciting. A courier arrives, breaking her train of thought. He hands her a thick, old-looking envelope. It has no return address, only her name written in elegant, looping handwriting. Curious, Akua carefully opens the seal. Inside, she finds not a modern letter, but a piece of aged parchment. The ink is faded, and the words are written in an old form of the TWI language. It is a riddle, a poem filled with metaphors about rivers, ancient trees, and whispering winds. A smaller note, written in modern English, is attached. It says, "Your great-great-grandfather started this journey. It is time for you to finish it." Akua's heart begins to beat faster. Her great-great-grandfather was the royal historian during the Sagrenti War. He was the very man Nana Adoma had spoken of, the one who supposedly hid the Kente crown. Could this be real? For years, her family had passed down stories of his dedication and wisdom, but this was something else entirely. This letter was a direct link to him, a tangible piece of her family's hidden history. The riddle spoke of where the two streams embrace, and the stone that weeps. It was a puzzle waiting to be solved, a call to adventure she never expected. She spreads the parchment out on her desk, her academic research completely forgotten. The words of the riddle seem to dance before her eyes. This is not just a historical document, it is a personal invitation. It is a challenge from her ancestor, a test of her knowledge and her courage. Akua feels a surge of excitement mixed with a healthy dose of fear. The legend of the lost crown was no longer just a story she studied. It had become her story. She knows she cannot ignore this call. This is her chance to connect with her roots in a way she had only ever dreamed of. Akua knows she cannot embark on this quest alone. The riddle is complex, and the journey will require more than just historical knowledge. She needs someone with practical skills, someone who understands the land. She immediately thinks of Dr. Ben Carter, a brilliant but cynical archaeologist who works at the same university. Ben is an expert on Ghanaian excavation sites, but he is a man of science and fact. He dismisses legends and folklore as fanciful stories with no basis in reality. He believes in what he can touch, measure, and prove with carbon dating. Akua knows convincing him will be a difficult task. She finds Ben in his lab, carefully cleaning a piece of ancient pottery. He listens to her story with a raised eyebrow, a smirk playing on his lips. When she shows him the letter, he examines the parchment with professional interest but scoffs at its content.
Akua, this is a fascinating historical artifact. But a treasure hunt? A magical crown of wisdom? It sounds like something out of a children's story. It's likely a clever forgery, or at best a symbolic family heirloom with no real treasure at the end of it.
Akua persists, appealing not to his belief in legends but to his love for a good puzzle. She points to the riddle. Forget the crown for a moment, Ben. Look at this, where the two streams embrace, the stone that weeps. These are geographical clues. This is a map. You're the best person I know to help me decipher it. Think of it as a historical expedition. We could uncover new information about 19th century Ashanti travel routes or hiding places. Even if we don't find a crown, we could make a significant historical discovery.
All right, Akua, I'll help you follow your map, but I'm doing this for the science, for the archaeology. When we find nothing but a rusty box and a sentimental note, you owe me a very expensive dinner.
Akua smiles, relieved. Her quest now has its first ally, even if he is a skeptical one. The puzzle was real. The trail was real. For the first time, Ben starts to believe that they might actually be onto something truly extraordinary. That's Fort Prinsenstein. It's a ruined Danish fort near Keta, on the coast. The broken tower is its most distinct feature. Inside the small damp cave, they find the next clue. It isn't a piece of parchment, but an Adinkra symbol carved into the stone wall. The symbol is a coma, the heart, which represents patience and tolerance. Below it is another carving, a simple sketch of a fortress with one broken tower, the Weeping Stone. Akua scans the area, her historian's mind working to connect the riddle to the local environment and culture. She remembers stories about specific rock formations in the area that seem to weep as water seeps through porous stone, creating a constant drip. It is a natural phenomenon often imbued with spiritual meaning by local communities. Following Akua's instinct, they begin to explore the rocky cliffs surrounding the main pool of the waterfall. They navigate slippery paths and dense undergrowth, the mist from the falls clinging to their clothes. After nearly an hour of searching, Ben spots it. Tucked away behind a curtain of hanging vines is a small cave entrance. From a fissure in the rock above the entrance, water drips down steadily, like tears. Okay, so the first part of the riddle was literal. Now what about the stone that weeps? That sounds a bit more poetic. The first clue in the riddle, where the two streams embrace and the stone weeps, leads them to Boti Falls. Located in the lush forest of the eastern region, Boti is famous for its twin waterfalls, one traditionally considered male and the other female. According to local lore, when the waterfalls merge in a single flow during the rainy season, it signifies a mating ritual. Akua and Ben arrive on a sunny afternoon, the air humid and filled with the sound of cascading water and chirping birds. The sight is breathtaking, a beautiful testament to the power and artistry of nature. Their journey takes them east to the coast, to the windswept ruins of Fort Prinsenstein.
The fort stands as a solemn monument to a dark chapter of history, a former hub of the transatlantic slave trade.
Its crumbling walls and empty cannons face the roaring Atlantic Ocean, a constant reminder of the past.
The air here is heavy, not just with salt spray, but with the sorrow of countless souls.
The broken tower, just as depicted in the carving, stands stark against the sky.
I feel a chill run down my spine. You know, a mix of historical reverence and sadness for the suffering that took place within these walls.
Ben gets straight to work, his skepticism now replaced by focused determination. He examines the structure of the broken tower, looking for anything out of the ordinary. If I were hiding something, I wouldn't put it in an obvious place. I would hide it in plain sight, somewhere people would overlook.
Akua remembers the Adinkra symbol from the cave Akoma, patience. Maybe the clue isn't on the tower but related to it. What does the tower look at? What is its perspective?
They climb to a stable part of the ramparts to get a better view.
From their vantage point, they can see the layout of the fort's remains. Wait, I noticed something odd. The shadow of the broken tower falls directly onto a specific spot in the old courtyard below. Ben, look! The shadow! It's pointing to something.
They rush down to the courtyard. The ground is overgrown with grass and weeds, but at the very tip of the tower's shadow, a single floor stone is different from the others.
It is made of a darker type of granite and has a small, almost invisible marking on its edge.
It is another Adinkra symbol, Nkinkim, representing twists and turns or the dynamism of life.
With great effort, they manage to pry the heavy stone loose.
Beneath it, nestled in a small, hollowed-out space, is a small, watertight wooden box.
Their hearts pound with anticipation as Ben carefully lifts it out.
Inside is not another clue, but a small, leather-bound journal.
The journal belongs to Aqua's great-great-grandfather.
The first page contains a chilling entry. They are watching. The Red Hand seeks the power, not the wisdom. I must lead them astray before I protect the final secret.
Suddenly, their historical quest has become dangerous. They are not the only ones searching for the Kente crown. The mention of the Red Hand sends a shiver of dread through Aqua. It's not a name from history books, but you know, one whispered in the shadows of the present.
The Red Hand is a secretive and ruthless organization known for trafficking stolen African artifacts. They care only for profit, stealing pieces of heritage and selling them to wealthy, unscrupulous collectors.
They're like modern-day treasure hunters, with absolutely no respect for culture or history.
Akua realizes that the letter sent to her might have been intercepted, or that her research had somehow alerted them. Her quest for knowledge has put her in the path of immense danger.
Ben, ever the pragmatist, immediately shifts into a more cautious mode. We need to be careful, he says, his voice low and serious. These people are not academics, they are criminals. They've likely been following us since we left Accra.
He scans the ruins around them, his eyes searching for any sign of observers. The lonely fort suddenly feels claustrophobic, its crumbling walls no longer a source of historical wonder, but a potential trap.
The sound of the ocean waves crashing against the shore seems to mock them with its relentless power, a reminder of how isolated they are.
They quickly leave the fort, their excitement now replaced with a sense of urgency and fear. As they drive away, a black SUV that was parked inconspicuously down the road pulls out and begins to follow them at a distance.
The Red Hand is no longer a faceless threat from a journal. They are real, and they are close. Ben's driving becomes more defensive, his eyes constantly checking the rearview mirror.
Akua clutches the journal tightly, its contents now more precious and more dangerous than she could have ever imagined. The wisdom of her ancestor was not just a guide, but also a warning.
The journal itself contains more than just the warning. It details her great-great-grandfather's personal conflict and his fears for the future of the Ashanti people. He wrote about the importance of preserving knowledge over gold, and his sorrow at having to hide their most sacred symbol of wisdom.
Akua feels a profound connection to him, reading his words. He was not just a historical figure, he was a man torn by his duty.
This revelation strengthens her resolve. She is not just looking for a crown. She is protecting her ancestors' legacy from those who would exploit it for greed. The moment has finally arrived. The culmination of their journey is within their grasp. It is clear the Red Hand, blinded by their greed and looking only at the ground, had missed it completely. With the help of the priest and some ropes, Ben carefully retrieves the chest. The journal's final instruction was simple. Do not look down for gold, but up for wisdom. Following this, Akua looks up into the massive branches of the tree. There, nestled high up in a hollow where a large branch had broken off long ago, is a sturdy, camouflaged chest. It is not made of gold, but of dark, resilient ironwood. The priest explains that this tree is a gateway between the physical and spiritual worlds. The Red Hand had searched the area around the tree, digging holes and disturbing the sacred ground, but they had found nothing. They were looking in the wrong way. They finally reach a colossal silk cotton tree, its massive roots spreading out like the arms of a giant. It is clearly the oldest tree in the grove, a silent witness to centuries of history. The priest leads them deep into the heart of the forest. The air is cool and still, and the light filters through the thick canopy, creating a cathedral-like atmosphere. He agrees to guide them, warning them that the grove protects its own secrets, and that the Red Hand has already been here, asking questions and offering money. However, when Aqua speaks of her ancestor, the royal historian, and shows him the journal, the priest's expression softens. He recognizes the Adinkra symbols and the spirit of the quest. He sees that Aqua seeks not gold, but understanding. Upon their arrival, they are met with suspicion. The chief priest, an elderly man with wise, knowing eyes, listens to their story patiently. He has heard many tales of treasure hunters looking for gold in the sacred grove. The journal instructs them to seek the oldest silk cotton tree, the one that has seen 1,000 seasons. Akua knows this place is protected, and they can't just walk in and start digging. They must approach with respect and seek the permission of the grove's custodian, the chief priest. The final clue in the journal is not a riddle, but a name: the Tano Sacred Grove. Located near the town of Techiman, this ancient forest is one of the most spiritually significant places in Ghana. It is believed to be the home of the Tano River God, a powerful deity in the Akan religion. The journey has changed her, transforming her from a simple historian into a guardian of this precious legacy. Akua feels the weight of this discovery, the immense responsibility that now rests on her shoulders. She has not just found a lost treasure, she has reconnected with the soul of her heritage. The chief priest smiles, a look of deep satisfaction on his face. "Your ancestor was a very wise man," he says to Akua. "He knew that gold can be stolen, but knowledge once shared can live forever. This is the true inheritance of your people. This was the true Kente crown. It was not a physical object, but a collection of ideas, a legacy of wisdom meant to guide and inspire future generations." The legend was true, but not in the way anyone had expected. Akua unrolls one of the scrolls. It tells a story of community, of how every individual, like a single thread in a kente cloth, is essential to the strength and beauty of the whole. It speaks of leadership not as a right, but as a responsibility to serve the people. It speaks of courage not as the absence of fear, but as the willingness to act despite it. Each scroll details a different aspect of Ashanti life. Advanced botanical knowledge of medicinal plants, complex astronomical charts, profound philosophical treatises, and detailed histories that were never recorded by outsiders. It is a priceless cultural and intellectual treasure. Ben looks on in awe, his cynicism completely gone. He realizes the genius of Akua's ancestor. While invaders and thieves hunted for gold, the true wealth of the Ashanti people, their history, their philosophy, their science, and their art, was hidden away, preserved for a generation that would value it correctly. The real treasure was not an object to be worn, but a library of knowledge to be studied and shared. It was the lost wisdom of the Ashanti. Instead, the chest is filled with dozens of carefully preserved scrolls. These scrolls are not made of paper, but of thin, beaten bark, and they are covered in the elegant script of her great-great-grandfather. There are also intricately carved wooden tablets, each bearing a different Adinkra symbol. With trembling hands, Akua opens the heavy ironwood chest. Inside, there is no glittering crown of gold and jewels. There is no treasure that the Red Hand would find valuable.
The story ends where it began, back in the Manhia Palace Museum. Several weeks have passed. Akua and Ben have worked tirelessly with the museum's curators and the chief priest to study and preserve the contents of the chest. A new exhibit is being prepared, one dedicated not to a golden crown, but to the Library of Wisdom.
The scrolls and tablets are displayed in carefully controlled environments, with translations and explanations for all to see. The discovery has sent waves of excitement through Ghana and, honestly, the entire academic world. It is a rediscovery of a vital part of African history.
Akua stands beside Nana Adoma, the old storyteller, looking at one of the newly displayed scrolls. The storyteller places a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You did not find the crown, my child," she says softly. "You became the crown. You are now the keeper of the stories, just like your great-great-grandfather."
Akua understands now. The legacy was not just in the scrolls, it was in the act of seeking, preserving, and sharing them. She has found her true purpose, a path that connects her past, present, and future in a meaningful way.
Ben, standing nearby, is a changed man. His journey with Akua has opened his eyes to a world beyond artifacts and carbon dating. He has learned that history is not just about facts, but about the stories, beliefs, and wisdom that shape a people. He now looks at the exhibit with a sense of reverence and partnership.
He and Aqua have formed a strong bond, a friendship forged in adventure and mutual respect. They plan to work together to translate and publish all the scrolls, ensuring the wisdom reaches as many people as possible.
As the museum prepares to close for the day, Akua examines the last scroll she has yet to fully translate. It contains a complex star chart, but also a final cryptic message from her ancestor. It reads, "The crown of wisdom has many jewels. This is but the first. The others sleep where the sky meets the earth."
Akua's eyes widen. The adventure is not over, it is just the beginning. The lost crown was not one, but many pieces of a much larger puzzle scattered across the land. The mystery continues, and a new journey awaits.